Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka the Movie Mystic. If you enjoy these film reviews, then please press the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, and stay in the know. Subscribing to this channel means you get to watch the coolest new film industry interviews, hear some groovy film reviews, and get some live streams too. Lady Snowblood is an incredible movie, no question, but it is inferior to Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion, which is my favorite Meiko Kaji movie, certainly one of my favorite Japanese movies, and probably of all time too. It is an exploitation movie, very much indebted to German Expressionism, because it has a lot of exaggerated and heightened motions that works great for those who appreciate the form of expressive or formalist cinema. I also think about Rudolf Arnheim, a German film theorist who believed that cinema peaked in the silent era, so he'd probably appreciate this series, where Meiko Kaji barely speaks and says most things through her intense yet perceptive staring at people. This is also an exploitation movie we're talking about. It takes place in a woman's prison in Japan, allowing genre movie fans to compare it to Jack Hill and Eddie Romero Filipino woman in prison movies like Black Mama, White Mama, The Big Bird Cage, etc. Those movies are great, but this is the best of any Asian female prisoner movie because of the bugged-out lighting and general surrealism that is used as close to perfectly as you are to see in any other movie. All the extreme violence plays perfectly into the story and the world building that includes the sexual abuse, which is never easy to watch, but must be noted for being done well in moments that will always be triggering, yet is still a part of this story. You will be compelled by the Scorpion. Those who don't condone violence in the real world, which is hopefully everyone listening to this, will believe every act of aggression here is cinematically warranted. If you don't believe women can be strong convincingly in a movie, you have not seen this movie. Meiko Kaji is a type of feminist icon that cannot be denied. So if you missed this one, it is hard to find, but you'll be extremely satisfied if you can track it down. The second movie in the Female Prisoner series is more of an ensemble piece than the first. It's also a 5 out of 5, a rougher around the edges movie as it was made faster, but it's spat out like a punk rock masterpiece. Our darling Scorpion starts off in solitude. When she gets out, she can barely move. And this has other prisoners discouraged because the events of the first film have now made her legendary to her former prisoners, that they have invested all of their dreams into her. Most of the movie is a group of lady prisoners on the run with a Scorpion tagging along, inspiring them and pissing them off along the way. There is another prisoner who looks middle-aged and haggard, who really rivals Meiko Kaji's performance here. There's also some brilliant exposition of the other prisoners' crimes when they bump into a cabin of a Japanese astrologer, showing the ladies in red one at a time moving across some black vortex, and their crimes are being sunned by the astrologer. Other unforgettable shots are the corpse of a rapist with a log jammed into where his dick used to be, and blood washing through the water coming down a waterfall, which makes you wonder if Kubrick borrowed this blood flow shot for The Shining. I can't forget the dreamy scene near the end where the Scorpion laughs after killing a central character to this series, then runs with the other prisoners. It is quite surreal since she never laughs. I have to say it reminds me of the Robert De Niro opium-induced smile in the end of Once Upon a Time in America, making you wonder if Sergio Leone saw this, since it wouldn't be the first time he borrowed from a Japanese movie. It is almost unfair that such a good movie was made in 4 months, but it was, and it is a truly worthy sequel that is not quite as good as the first in the series, yet has so many strong elements that you may disagree with me. Female Prisoner B Stable has perhaps the greatest opening scene of any Japanese film. The Scorpion is on the subway, notices a detective on her trail. With a handcuff attached to his arm, he handcuffs her. While she is exiting the subway, she ambitiously hacks off his arm. While the Scorpion victoriously flails the detective's arm to the left, the title card for Female Prisoner B Stable splashes across the screen, with the theme song kicking into tremendous effects to the point where I always react in sheer genre glee each time. The movie's rough stuff, and like the second movie, is a departure in that, except for the last 10 minutes or so, none of it is set in the prison. It is all in the rough and crummy urban real world. The first was almost all set in prison, and the second was mostly in the country. The movie is another 5 out of 5. On my last screening of it, I preferred it to the second movie, yet it might just depend on my mood, since both are Japanese exploitation classics, almost in another league with other ones. I love when the Scorpion flees from the now one-armed detective in the sewer for it to be lit up. Classic scene. But my favorite image in this series comes in the movie, which you might judge me for, but it should be known. The scene involves a putter being stuck into a hooker's vagina. Good grief, I know. But it works so well in getting us to hate the criminals who obviously have no class and will be up against the Scorpion in no time. It's so cool to see the Scorpion in different environments in the first 3 movies. And yes, this is the last classic movie in the series. Director Shuna Ito felt like he had done and said everything with the series already, and I had to agree with him. The first 3 films are still standalone classics. I don't think their legacy is hurt with the greedy producers doing a 4th, but when the credits roll and be stable, to me the series in my head is over. It all concludes with Female Prisoner 701 Grudge-san, and while it is certainly disappointing compared to the first 3 in this incredible series, the new direction is still interesting despite being inappropriate. In the first movie, we see the betrayal in a romantic relationship, which makes the Scorpion who she is. So for her to become more friendly with the man and fall in love is an interesting development, but uncharacteristic too. The prison is now run by a woman, which is also an interesting way to change things up, but still uncharacteristic to the harsh patriarchy that has been established, and is a departure that ultimately fails to work for this movie. There are still some unsettling dark images in this movie, but it still feels too light and too much of a change of direction that is pointless rearranging by a filmmaker, not someone who's respecting the laid down foundation. It's too fun, too naive of a movie, and lacks the brilliant craftsmanship of obsessed filmmakers hungry to make a name for themselves. It's just a job at this point. Don't get too mad, the other films are separate to this one. Okay, it's a little bit of a shit stain for a wonderful legacy, but I have had friends who simply don't watch it, and that is perhaps the best way to not be affected by the mentioned staining of this legendary series. An individual essay featured on the Blu-ray of this movie, Japanese film historian Tom Mess, shows the posters to the other rebooted Scorpion movies, and they do look far worse than this movie, if that makes things any easier to swallow. Mika Kaji is one of my favorite actresses, and she made 4 movies I consider to be masterpieces, with one movie in both series leaving me feeling unsatisfied. By Woman's Curse is quite good, and the Stray Cat Rock movies are fun to check out as well.